Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see all of you here tonight. Welcome to the Clovis City Council meeting of December 11th. Is that right? All day? All day, December 11th. We appreciate you taking time to be here tonight. I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll invite Councilmember Pierce to lead us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baskell is absent. Councilmember Bessinger. Here. Councilmember Monudwa. Here. Councilmember Pierce. Here. And Mayor Ashbeck.
I am here. So with the audience indulgence, we are going to move up item 11, assuming that some of our youth commissioners don't really want to stay here all night. I can't understand what. Okay, you have to stay. No, I'm just kidding. And their families probably don't want to stay till the end. So if that is okay with my colleagues, we'll move up item 11, and that is to consider the approval of appointments to the City of Clovis' first ever Youth Commission. And I'll invite Chad McCollum to offer a short staff report.
And Mayor, just to announce, because my daughter decided to apply and is on consider for appointment onto the commission, I'm going to recuse myself just in case there's any appearance of conflict. Okay.
All right. See you.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. It is my honor tonight to present for your consideration the nominees for the inaugural City of Clovis Youth Commission. Many of these nominees are with us this evening, bringing down the average age of those in attendance considerably, which is wonderful.
Speak for yourself.
I am speaking for myself.
I'm just kidding.
I'll ask them to stand in a moment, but first some background. In October 2023, the Clovis City Council voted to create a youth commission and tasked staff with beginning the process of that. Staff created a website, social media marketing materials, began coordinating with community partners, including Clovis Unified. We accepted applications November 1st through November 30th. Qualifying students are 10th and 11th graders who live in the city of Clovis, and the names of the students are listed in your paperwork in the packet. While I mentioned some of the students are here with us today, here's also some photos of some of the best and the brightest that Clovis has to offer. And at this time, I would ask the students to stand up if they would, for those of you who are in attendance.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Is that like almost all of them?
We're almost at 100%. Cool. Yeah.
How many?
Thanks for standing for a second. Go ahead and sit down. I had a chance to meet with each of these students, and Carrie Chaw assisted me along with several other members of departments, and we had the chance to get to know them, to ask them some tough questions, find out why they were interested, and I have to say, I was blown away. Super smart, very engaged, very involved in both their schools and their communities, and then something I just wanted. Family members of the students, could you stand up as well, if you don't mind? Just real quick, dads, moms, cousins. This is why those students are so successful, is the moms, dads, cousins. I was so impressed that almost without exception, they all mentioned their families and how important they were on inspiring them to volunteer, get back to the community, and many of the parents had shared links to the students for this application process. So just really cool. I felt better having met them, more optimistic about our future, and also just not as accomplished. So I think it was a good thing. It was a good thing. So I wholeheartedly recommend these students that are both here and those who were unable to attend to be confirmed for the first ever City of Clovis Youth Commission. I stand ready for any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Chad. Any questions for staff?
Not really a question. I think this is a great idea. I think having the voices of our young folks is important, because a lot of times as parents, we learned to tune you out a long time ago, because sometimes you're like complaining about everything.
And vice versa.
Yeah, and they showed us that, that's right. And your perspective on things is going to be different sometimes, but because it's different doesn't mean it's not important. There's some things that, you know, as a 66-year-old man, I'm not going to understand. Even with my children, I didn't always understand, or I frankly wasn't listening because they weren't doing what I told them to do. But being in a position where you have people who are you're on the edge of adulthood. In 2 years, you'll be out of high school, you'll be in college, you'll be in the military, you'll be in the workforce, whatever you're doing, and you'll be adults. And you are respected and expected to let your opinions and your voices be heard. So I really appreciate you guys throwing your hat in the ring.
Yeah. Diane, any comments?
I'm just really excited to see how many people stepped up and took advantage of the opportunity to be part of the first City of Clovis Youth Commission. So thank you to all of you for taking the time, showing the interest, and again, as Chad mentioned, so important, thank you to the families who were supportive of the kids taking this challenge head on, and I'm really excited to see the kind of work that you guys come up with for us. I am someone who in high school was very interested in the political process and government and that, and I didn't have an opportunity like this. So again, I'm just really excited to see what you guys are going to be able to come up with, and the opportunity to be engaged with your city and its government is going to be really, really great for you. So thank you to Chad and Carrie, but also to Mayor Ashbeck and Mayor Pro Tem Wanatua for kind of bringing this whole thing together. So congratulations to everybody who's participated, and the best is yet to come.
Thanks. Thank you, Diane, for that nod. Just to add on, this has been a dream for a couple of years, and it really is wonderful to see it come to be. For me, one of the things I hope that you can help us be clear on is how do we hold on to the history of Clovis and pass it forward. Our community is special, and it's unique, and it's imperfect. But we can tell the story of how Clovis got here and what happened in 18 whatever, and that is really ancient history for all of us, even me. But for you to help us kind of keep that spirit of Clovis alive, and it will look different for sure, but having a chance for the youth voice in our community as we imagine the future of Clovis. I'm not going to live here 50 years from now, I can assure you of that, but you all might. And I think, what kind of place do we want to be? Clovis is a great community because people have imagined that future, and you are going to help us imagine that. So in this first round of our Youth Commission, you all are going to get to define the commission, what it should do and what could it do and what might it look like and what kinds of projects could we take on. So we're leaving the entire sort of trajectory of this work to your ideas and what you think it might look like. And to Diane's point, the best is yet to come, and really grateful. I know you're all super busy and you probably should be home studying, or I don't know, something like that. But for saying yes to one more thing, or if you haven't done as many things, to saying yes to this, I really hope that you will come to love this city more than you do, and help us imagine the kind of place that we'd like to live in the next generation. So thank you for agreeing, and it'll be super fun to see what we end up with. So thank you for saying yes. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment on this? Any of our new youth commissioners, their parents, a teacher, anybody want to say anything? You have to. Would you mind coming up here to the microphone? Thank you so much.
Chairperson, honorable board members, my name is Paul H. Garcia. I'm a former elected official in Merced County. Nice. And I come down here because I'm very proud of, matter of fact, the young people that you just introduced. I'm very pleased. This is my first time here. In other words, I'm shaking because it's cold.
That's true.
I just want to say one thing here is that I am proud to be back in Fresno County. Matter of fact, I got baptized here in Clovis.
Oh, nice.
Matter of fact, I bought my first car here in Clovis, and matter of fact, and I'm a member of the EECU Credit Union here in Clovis, so I'm very proud of the city, and I'm very proud of the people that were elected to these positions. And matter of fact, I really enjoy the participation of the support of the parents that came out here on a cold day.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much, but I do want to get involved here. In other words, if it's in education, or if it's in, matter of fact, with the police department, because I've been involved everywhere. In Southeast Fresno, I was the president for Neighborhood Watch Association, and also Neighbors Against Graffiti. So I come over here, back over here to Clovis, because this is where I belong, and I am very pleased with the people that are here. And I like that diversity also as well. And I really thank you for giving me the time to speak, and matter of fact, to know each and one of you. And matter of fact, and cheers for all the parents and all the students that are out here.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. Welcome back. Anyone else wishing to make a comment about this item and the action that we're about to take? You may speak as a parent. But can I check your ID to make sure you're really a parent? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Make sure you state your name for the record in case we don't know. And spell it.
Okay. Parent, Vong, Monatua, V-O-N-G-M-O-U-A, N-O-U-T-O-A. Okay.
He was kidding about the spelling.
No, I as a parent, I think this is so exciting, and I share this with you, though, my other job is up there on the dais. We've been wanting something like this for our children. And to see the diversity of the applicants, and to see, I know there are probably a lot of parents who are first generation or immigrant, not just to Clovis, but to America, to be participating. And I see the varied families here. It's just exciting. And I encourage all of you to still be involved, but at the same time, I encourage my colleagues to vote for this and to be supportive of this. And I thank the staff, because as a parent, when I just mentioned it to my daughter, she said, sure, I'll do it. And it was sort of a proud moment inside, because I knew what great things they would get from our staff, from learning how a city works, and at such a young age, sophomores and juniors, which this education you will not get in the classroom at our high school. Not that our high schools aren't great, but to be with our staff and to be with leaders within the community, I think our children are going to learn so much, and we can't wait to be able to hear the input of our children. So I wanted to just share that, and so as a parent, thank you.
Noted as a parent. Thank you, Mr. Parent Monatua. Anyone else wishing to comment on this item before us? Please.
Good evening. See, I'm too tall, so I have to bend this thing down. Thank you so much for the city of Clovis that provide this opportunity. My name is Bi Yang, and I'm the parent of Grace Yang. I'm a refugee from Vietnam War, and I came to the city of Fresno and Clovis in 1986 when I was 22 with no school background. I learned ABC in 87 at Hoover High School. I never get a chance to participate in things like this. Leadership is always important, and I want my children to have this opportunity. When City Council wanted to present at the University of School 2 weeks ago, my daughter got really excited, and she asked me to apply for this, and so we did, and we followed it through, and it's really appreciated. Background, I teach at Fresno State in the last 30 years. I'm teaching social work and cultural diversity operation at Fresno State. And so I'm really proud for the city of Clovis. I live here all my life, and I want to contribute to what I can, not only in my generation, but also for my children's generation to remember, because here it's our home.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Those are beautiful thoughts. Thank you so much for sharing them. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, please. Anyone else? Please, come on. I saw your little sparkle back there. I thought you might want to raise your hand. Hello, nice to see you. I thought that was you back there.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elda Pinzon Perez. My complete name, Elda Lucia Pinzon Vivas de Perez. A bit too long. I want to express our highest gratitude as parents, as members of the Clovis community. This is a great opportunity for our children. We are very proud and immensely appreciative of this opportunity for them. I heard of this initiative from a person that I admire very much, named Tao. And he was a member of our community and the brother of a close friend of mine who did a lot of advocacy for the city of Fresno and was an example for all of us. And I want to acknowledge him at this initial event for all of us. And once again, thank you so much to all of you for the hard work that you do as members of this council. Thank you so much.
Dr. Perez, I think when I first met you, you actually had no children, and now you have a child here. So what does that suggest? That we are just a little bit older than we used to be. Nice to see you both and your husband.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations, everyone, parents and children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? I think one thing that's that I hope you will get from this is it's about leadership and it's about service. So giving beyond yourself is kind of a hard concept at 16. I'm certain I couldn't have ever formulated that, but you all have shown that your willingness to do that simply by saying, I'll try this. I don't know exactly what this is going to be. We don't exactly know either, but you're about to tell us. So I think that's just that principle, I think, will serve you over your lifetime. It's always good to sort of do something outside yourself. And in today's world, it's so focused on your phone and your friends and all of that, but your willingness to give back to this place that has been good to all of us and hopefully will be good for generations is just it's really remarkable. So thank you all. This is so exciting. So thank you all so much. Yes, would you like to say something? Oh, great. Our next class of leader. Can you tell us your name first and then what you want to say?
My name is Daphne Goldberg.
Hi, Daphne.
My sister, Bonnie Barlow, she really is happy being here, and she loves the city of Clovis. She is I'm just really proud of her.
Oh,
thank you so much for this opportunity for the youth that you guys have provided.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you. When you get just a little bit bigger, we'll expect to see you on this youth commission one day soon. Very nice. Nicely done. Nicely done. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you for your comments. We'll close the public portion. I'll bring it back to the council for action.
It would be my privilege to make a motion to approve the appointments to the City of Clovis Youth Commission.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. Congratulations and welcome to this inaugural Youth Commission.
Mayor, I'm going to ask that the students come down and we get a before photo when they're still fresh-faced and not jaded yet, if that's okay.
When you're done, you'll look like me, and you'll go, oh, my God, what has happened? How did I age that much? Come on down.
Lynn, can I say something real quick? Parents, you should be proud of your children. Every single one of them had the handshake. And it's something parents don't teach sometimes. But shaking someone's hand firmly and looking them in the eye, big time.
Thank you all so much. That was awesome. Yeah, I do think this, we've had some wonderful events in Clovis and moments, but this is pretty special. This is really such a great group of kids. And so Chad, where'd Chad go? I lost Chad. Bye, Chad. And Carrie, thank you for the group of kids, and super cool. 20 years from now, I think we'll look back and see what this has turned out to be. That'll be cool. All right. Well, the rest of it's downhill from there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're going to go back to the top of our agenda to public comments. And this is a time for members of the public to address the City Council on items that are within our jurisdiction, but not on our agenda tonight. And I will note, I have a couple of letters. These look like they're about the item. Yes? This is on the proposed Wilson Project Northeast. And then I don't know, I have a folder that I just want to acknowledge, but I don't know what it is. It looks... Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I just got it, so I'm not exactly sure. So do you want to comment publicly, or are you good with just submitting this in writing? Okay. Come on down. And you have 5 minutes in public comment, if that's okay. I apologize. I didn't know you were. No, I didn't know you were here. I apologize for sounding like, what is this? But I didn't know. So welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you for seeing me.
You bet.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can now.
All right, I'll go quickly.
No, you're fine.
Clovis City Council and members of the community. My name is Toby Galletti Anderson, and I'm from Paso Robles, California. I am not an active member of your community, but I have been coming to the area all my life. I have reviewed the City Council's goals and vision for your city. Quote, a city that is committed to the Clovis community family, their needs, their values, and a quality way of life for all, reflecting that commitment in how it develops and in the activities it undertakes, end quote. As I stand before you today, I'm asking the City Council members to investigate further into RV Liquidation Center, also known as RVs for Less Incorporated, as I believe they are or were doing business illegally in your community. As a board, you investigate these common code problems: unlicensed vendors, illegal signage, and construction without permits. That being stated, let me briefly tell you our story and issues.
Toby, you only do have 5 minutes, and your letter's probably 5. But we have your letter, so just highlight those.
I'm just going to cut to the chase.
Okay. Thank you.
Long story short, I basically want you to check any additional codes that may be applicable to the above letter that I've sent you, and to the business and address. As we were just recently made aware of by Carrie here, she sent me, I won't even read the permit number, but the type of permit was a demolition of a structure, and the description on that said demo our old RV dealership. The public information available is very unclear, like a lot of the information about either of these two businesses. It is my expectation and understanding that this governing body will uphold the standards that maintain the integrity of the city of Clovis. In doing so, it protects its residents, businesses, and visitors. Thank you all for your time and swift action.
You actually have 2 more minutes. I didn't mean to make you hurry, but
no, that's okay.
Are you sure?
So basically, in accordance with how I read my letter, I've given you copies of what Carrie's provided me and some of the other things that I've collected. That's basically showing you guys that this business has been practicing business illegally for almost 2 years now.
Question, Toby.
Sure.
Your concern is with the business and not the site, correct?
Well, the business and the site, as we stated I didn't get to read it, but in my letter, when we went to actually visually inspect the purchase of this, to possibly finish purchasing this trailer, we were told that they just recently remodeled the whole place and just changed the name and everything. And so I about fell over when I just got the new demo of this new business, of which I don't even know because it doesn't even have the name of what business is supposed to be there. And the business that's listed as being there is not the business that we were doing business legally with. So there's no DBA or fictitious that connects them.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Absolutely.
Who is the correct staff person to?
So, a quick update on that location. If you realize where Shawn 168 is, the old site of the RV Liquidators, that's been completely scraped and built. Scraped. I'm assuming that was the demo permit there. They're no longer operating in the city of Clovis. My recommendation is to have the resident or I forget your name, I'm sorry, but Toby meet with Andy to get her contact information, and we can take a look at the complaints that she's raised and realize that we'll look into them, but who are we going to look into if they're no longer operating in the city of Clovis?
Well, that's why it's confusing, because it legally, like on paper, it shows one business, but it says that they've closed and they had been closed, and so the fact that they were practicing business under a new name without having any correct permitting, and if they did in fact remodel or demolish prior to you guys even knowing, they could have covered up who knows what at this point.
And the last thing I would add would be that this is likely a civil matter between Toby and RV Liquidators.
And your letter says, or you just, no, they moved to Madera.
Well, exactly. And so if you go and pull up their website right now, it shows, like if you look on the very first page, it shows Clovis on the very first page, but then when you click to where their new address is, it shows Madera. So everything's very wonky and very awkward and strange, and it's taken a really long time to try to connect and see how they are fit together.
Okay.
But if you look on Yelp and other things, you guys, it's not pretty.
So I think to John's point, we will do and Andy can navigate as far as we can take it as a municipal government, and then if there's civil action that you and your family would choose to take, at least you'd have our background about what we see and don't see or didn't do or should have done or all of that. So hopefully that will be helpful, at least in your...
Yeah, and real quick, I will note that we have been dealing with, we do have a case that we did file with Officer Garcia with the city of Clovis.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
So, Andy right there, Toby.
Hi.
He'll meet you out there.
All right.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Yeah, you bet.
Toby, and you are working with DMV investigations on this?
Well, that's the next step, because I just got that some information from the DMV in order to probably kind of figure out how they were.
Oh.
So now I have to.
Okay. This is probably more their deal than anybody else's, because they deal with licensees that are selling but great. Thank you.
Thanks. Other public comment? You wouldn't mind stating your name for the record? That would be great.
My name is Gina Martinez. I have been a Clovis resident for 36 years. I typically don't come to city council meetings, so excuse me for being a little bit nervous. The issue that I'm having, and I've brought it up to the police department several times, and I actually talked to Sergeant today on Clovis PD, is the area of 2nd and Minnewawa. So if you're looking at 2nd and Minnewawa and you're on that street, there's a water basin, and right behind the water basin there's like a service road that goes into a cul-de-sac right behind the basin. In the last 3 months, I've made calls to Clovis PD over 15 times because of encampments that are happening. It's not just the encampments. There's people visibly smoking methamphetamines or smoking drugs in a glass pipe. I've witnessed them taking their pants down and urinating and so on and so forth, as well as I've seen transactions of cash and what appears to be drug dealing for people on bicycles that come and leave. My concern is that I'm taking care of small children now that go to Weldon School, and the front, I don't know if that's the front or the back, but where I pick the child up, it's always so crowded that I've asked the children to meet me where the ducks are on the side where the road curves, because I can pull over a little bit easier and it's not so crowded. It's easier to get out of. And the children have told me that they have seen naked people and people that are drinking beer and people that are, sleeping in blankets outside. When I contacted the police today, they mentioned to me that just since November 1st, there have been 14 calls specifically to that location for encampments, which is really a lot. Not just that, but what I was also told is that during these calls that there was one unnamed male that was arrested 4 times at least, maybe 5, just this month, who seems to be the ringleader and calls friends over. So it's typically him when I've seen, but it's also other people, like he's bringing different people. I've seen a female there. I've seen a couple of men on bicycles there before as well. This male, while being arrested, has told officers that, I'm going to get out of jail in a few hours or tomorrow, and that I will be back. And he has said that on more than one occasion. I understand that we have a lot of restrictions because of Prop 47. I know all about that. I know there's limits what we can do as far as arresting people. My concern is that we need to, that we need to enforce Muni Codes sections and implement more type of law enforcement punitive things when people are trespassing and willfully denying what is up there on signs. There's signs that clearly say that it's trespassing. The people that are doing this obviously have no regard for the law whatsoever. We also need to have something physically to stop people from being able to get back there. I tried as a person to see how I would get into that, and from the front side, I can't see any way to get in. But it seems that there's something that's allowing them to come in, and I don't know if it's a cut fence. I don't know if it's fence that's broken. I don't know how they're getting in from the other side. But if we need to put up more fence, or even if we have to put razor wire around the area to keep people out of that cul-de-sac, I think that would solve some problems, or some type of concrete barriers to keep people out. I think it's a waste of our taxpayer money and police resources to continue to send police officers, especially when one was called. I called in on Saturday. 4 officers had to respond because there was an arrest made. That's really not a good use of our police resources. It's not good of our taxpayer dollars when our officers can be doing other things. I don't know what else we can do to help. I can do to help advocate, but I do come from a legal background and a civil law enforcement background, and I'm willing to do what it takes. I just don't want this stuff that's blatantly happening. It's within visual contact. When you come out of the school, you can see that water basin. You can clearly see what the people are doing because it's all chain link fence. So I don't know what I can do to help, but if there's anything you guys can do to implement, supporting our police officers, maybe further strengthening the punishments for trespassing on this property, or anything at the Muni Code level to help law enforcement, I would be greatly appreciative.
Gina, thank you for coming here. You did exactly the right thing. So thank you for being here today. Drew, did you want to comment?
I'm looking at the Google Earth on it. There is a cul-de-sac there with 4 houses. Are we talking the area between the houses and the ponding basin?
If you're on the street where the street curves,
right,
there's a pond basin right here, and right beyond the pond basin, there's like a little service road that ends in a cul-de-sac. And it's in that cul-de-sac where the encampments are being set up. And Clovis PD has responded several times to that location. And there's been times where they've cleared it out, and the next day I've seen them back.
Gina, we have a police officer here, but I'm pretty sure he didn't come to speak to this item, so don't panic. You never panic. I'm not sure exactly there. I don't see anybody else from the chief or others here, but this does seem like an issue. Obviously, our officers are aware if they make that many visits, and we are relentless, and we will keep coming and coming and coming. But to your point, sort of, then what, right? And we'll just keep coming until we figure out the then what for sure. I'm not sure the best course of action for.
In this case, what I'll do is I'll work with the police department and get back with Gina. What I'd like to do is have Andy get Gina's contact information, and I'll work with the police department, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and so I think, we will get it. We will get it. We have many stories in Clovis, and we're not happy about hundreds of calls for service, but we keep going back. And I think part of it is just people are pretty sure you'll stop coming. But Clovis doesn't stop coming, but it still in the interim makes it a really uncomfortable and unsafe and probably scary kind of environment to pick up kids or live or so. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. And Andy will also connect with you so you'll have a face in addition, and we'll work with our PD tomorrow to see what we can do to accelerate the work, or if there's something more we can do fence-wise. I'm not even sure who controls that property. Is it flood control or?
It could be FID. I'd have to take a look.
I don't know who it is.
Yeah, and then the concern too is that there's a senior community that's right there, and if we have people using drugs, it's possible that they could be doing burglaries on our most vulnerable population too.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You did exactly the right thing. Thank you. Thanks. All right, Andy and Gina meeting again. Okay. Any other public comment on an item that's within our jurisdiction but not on the agenda? Mr. Pierce, nice to see you again.
Okay, just mentioning Devon, I've been going back and forth on, I think it's Owens Mountain Road near Kenosha, and I see this one empty big lot, looks like it's going to be a development, that there has been dump trucks dumping dirt, and there's also bricks and concrete and other materials in this dirt that's being dumped. And there's even a pallet of used fluorescent lamps out there. I'm not sure how legitimate this is to be putting this into an area of development. I've worked on different houses repairing like sprinklers, yard sprinklers, where I'm digging up the pipe and there's blocks of cement or stuff in there, and putting in a fence and there's pieces of metal and other blocks of brick and everything. I don't know how legal it is. I mean, there could be other junk or garbage in there. It could be something poisonous. This is right next to a holding pond. So I'm not sure how your environmental requirements are in this area. It's in the city limits, but I don't know if anybody's really watching what they're doing around here.
Do you have a clear understanding of the location?
No, Owens Mountain Parkway and what?
Kenosha?
Kenosha, which is up by Harlan Ranch? Up by Harlan Ranch?
Yeah, just before it, right along, practically near the freeway.
I know exactly where you're talking about. So we have, I'm not going to say it's all pool companies, but there's a lot of people that are taking their landfill and dumping it at that site, because I believe that's Caltrans property that's currently for sale, but it's unoccupied, and we've had our police, it's illegal dumping, and we've had our police catch some of the people, but any of these open fields that are, you can drive onto, they're going to use it until we catch them, and then they'll move to a different site. But I know if you drive it right now, it's about 500 yards by 500 yards of dump truck loads.
Is it
didn't
signage
seem like there was many
that says illegal dumping
before, but now it's like there's a lot of dump trucks dumping in there.
Yeah.
Does it have signage on it that says it's illegal to dump on that parcel?
But I'm not sure. When I looked at it, it has a for sale sign on it, and I'm pretty sure it's Caltrans property, but I can look into it. But the police department's aware of it, because I've called it in personally, because I live in the neighborhood.
All right, so thank you for bringing that to our attention as well. We'll work on that, and maybe we'll put a big sign up that says, you're being watched on camera. I don't know, we'll make that part up, even if it's not true. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Thank you so much. We need eyes and ears everywhere, so thank you for raising these items. Hello. Please, your name, please.
Hello, my name is Mercedes Stark. I live here in Clovis. I've been here 20 years, homeowner now. There is a request, and it's mostly about lighting. Like in my neighborhood, I'm off of Loyola Avenue in Hamel, and on Hamel, it's so dark. I was wondering.
Lighting, I thought you said lining, I'm like lighting,
Yeah.
got
I was wondering if there could be like a street light put there. It's like an off street, it's very dark, and during Halloween, the kids are running through there constantly. And so they can definitely get run over.
Okay.
In the fall, when it starts to get dark, they're riding their bikes through there. And we have to be very careful, but we always are careful, but it's so difficult to see them, especially when there's cars parked there as well. There's been a couple of cars that have been broken into. My cameras can't catch it because it's too dark as well.
Can you give me the major cross streets?
Minnewawa and Teague. Or Clovis Avenue and Teague.
Got it.
But it's Hamel Avenue.
Hamel, you
Hamel.
said? Okay. Who out there? Scott, are you looking at me? So Scott Rodolph is our Public Utilities Director. We're going to give it to somebody besides Andy to help us out. But can you connect with Mercedes and just make sure you know exactly where we're talking about, and then see what we can do to...
So it's like Powers and Loyola Avenue, and then Hamel's right there.
Yep.
It's a very long stretch.
Okay.
Where it's really very dark.
So there aren't any light poles that are lights are out, there just aren't any?
There aren't any.
Okay.
No, there aren't
Okay.
any.
All right.
And speaking of lighting, I'd love to come to Old Town on Pulaski. I would love to see string lighting out there. Probably between 3rd and 5th. Again, when we're hitting the fall, if during the wine walk, it's so dark to see out there.
So the two women sitting just over your left shoulder are in charge of business owners of Old Town, and they just wrote that down, string lighting.
String lighting, which I've been requesting for a while.
Okay.
So it's dark during, the trunk or treat.
Yep.
And the latter part of the farmer's market, there's a lot of strollers and little kids, and it's hard to see. It really is.
Yep.
That we're almost tripping over them.
Okay,
out there.
thank you. Yes, and Heather and Cora have written it down.
Yes. And what happened to the music? The holiday music. There's no holiday music over the intercom.
We had a piece of equipment fail that has been hard to find to replace, especially due to some of the manufacturing issues, and we're working to replace it.
But we'll take carolers in the meantime.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And who was going to touch bases with me on the lighting in the street, our resident?
The lighting is Scott Rodolph, who just stood up there.
Okay,
is making his way toward out there, and you can connect with him on your exact location, and then, and then the business owners of Old Town, take note of your lighting.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, this is just so constructive. Anyone else? This is the best part of local government right here.
I have to leave, but you know what? I wanted to address some of the concerns that I had when I first got here.
Would you just state your name again for the record, please? Just state your name again, so we can capture you on microphone, on tape. Your name?
Paul H. Garcia.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, the police department, I really am very proud of, because when I see them out there, in other words, I feel very secure, especially when we go into shopping at the stores and the malls and all that, that they're, that their presence, okay? And I'm very proud of them, because, I stop them, I thank them, and I pray for them too also as well. And as far as I would hope that I can make contact with our city manager here, and also with some ideas in regards to potholes, better streets. Because matter of fact, my truck I've been a victim of crime where they stole my Cadillac converter. It's over $3,000 out of the driveway. So that's why I said, I was very upset. I said, I'm getting involved. I'm not going to waste any more time, because I'm tired of seeing this thing happening. So that's why I'm here. But I really wanted to thank our police officers out there, and I want you to let them know there's somebody out here is their biggest cheerleader. Okay, so, and matter of fact, I'm proud to see all of you here, and it gives me a great pleasure. It kind of reminds me back over here, like in Livingston City government over there. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you in future meetings.
More of me
I
up
would
here,
say we'll see you again.
Okay?
I'm confident. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Anyone else?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Marcus Spudio. I have a question for the city clerk. Is agenda item number 11, if that gets tabled, or is there opportunity for public comment, or?
There will be opportunity to comment.
Okay.
But we won't take any action, and we probably would ask
Okay.
you to come back and talk about it again in January, but,
You know I will.
I do know you will. I was gonna make a joke about, like, everybody except a lawyer, but that
Yeah.
didn't seem right, so we're glad, nice to see you. I was just talking to your sister today, so she makes up.
She probably does.
But yes, we will take comments if you'd like to offer it, or you're welcome to go home and come back in January.
Okay.
Okay. It is certainly, it's your right either way.
Okay, well, I guess not on that topic specifically, I'd like to bring something up.
Sure.
I sent in a letter, it's about 5 days before today's meeting.
This one that we have in front of us, maybe?
The one that talks about, like, the difference between the municipal code and.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, even like the agenda today says, written comments must be received, before 4 o'clock. Nothing references that written comments are considered late if it's less than 5 days, if it's less than 5 days before the meeting. In fact, the meeting notice, the agenda for tonight's meeting, as well as the packet, wasn't even published until Friday. So 5 days had already come and gone before we even knew what was going to be on the meeting. So I just kind of encourage, the council members and, city attorney to kind of figure out how we can encourage public participation without having that, fall back of, well, it's late. Now, I know on that specific topic, I think city staff is going to be reviewing all the comments and everything got pushed back. But it's just kind of like an efficiency issue. Things get shoved back, and I mean, as you know, anything in that area there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, big projects. So it's just maybe some more advanced notice and really know what the deadline is to submit comments and public.
Yeah, I hear you talking about clarity on the language that, what's what, I appreciate that. I hear that. Thank you for that.
So, all right, thank you.
Nice to see you, Marcus.
And Mayor, if I could comment on that?
Yeah.
Is going to be that, and I'll defer to the city attorney, but, as far as tonight's action, the only action council is going to take is the recommendation to continue it. So I would recommend that the public comment be limited to the continuation. Scott, anything else?
I don't think staff's prepared to go forward with the public hearing. I think if that's what you're suggesting. Yeah, I would not suggest we open the public hearing. I think a number of the members in the neighborhood were told that the recommendation is to continue the item. So I think that's still staff's recommendation. So if there's going to be comment upon whether or not they wish to be heard on that item, I would suggest we have them wait until the public hearing whenever that item is continued.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Moving on, under ordinances and resolutions, with respect to the approval of resolutions and ordinances, the reading of the title shall be deemed a motion to waive a reading of the complete resolution or ordinance, unless there is a request by a council member that the resolution or ordinance be read in full. Further reading shall be deemed waived by unanimous consent of the council. The next item is the consent calendar. These are items that are routine in nature and acted upon in one action and one vote, unless a council member wishes to pull an item or someone from the audience wishes to pull an item. So tonight we have consent calendar items 1 through 6. Anyone on the council wishing to pull an item from the consent calendar? Anyone in the audience wishing to pull an item? So Cora, tell us which one. I'm going to bet it's number 2.
Okay, Cora Shipley.
Will you pull the microphone a little bit closer to you? Thank you.
Cora Shipley, 433 Pulaski, Clovis. Representing Boot Business Organization of Old Town, we would like to pull the car show, water tower car show plan for April.
Okay. So we'll pull that item and then we'll hear it separately after we act on the consent calendar.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to pull any other items? All right, so I would look for a motion from the council on the consent calendar items 1 through 6, except number 2.
Motion to approve the consent calendar items 1 through 6 with the exception of number 2.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for the consent calendar, 4 in favor with 1 absent. Item number 2 is, maybe Sean, where's Sean? In the corner. Item number 2 is approval of the 2024 street closure requests, and also seeking approval to declare certain events as Old Town special events and setting precise boundaries for those Old Town special events. Sean.
Well, thank you. I was not expecting this item to be pulled and found out about it this evening. So I will let. I think I would like to hear what the pushback is from Cora. It's just,
Sean, maybe just for context for folks in the chambers or listening, can you just sort of briefly describe what this is? This comes annually.
Yes.
I think for Councilmember Pierce, you probably haven't seen this before. Oh, were you? Okay, all right. So, but maybe just a refresher on kind of what it is and the question before us.
sure. So for routine street closures associated with special events in throughout Clovis, and then in this case specifically Old Town, we take all of the requests and ask for approval at one time, and it allows for us to plan for the entire calendar year. And so all of the special events, all of the routine special events were on the agenda tonight to request street closure to accommodate those events. And it sounds like Cora is asking for a car show to be removed in April.
So let's, yeah, let's, before, we'll let her speak, but anything else? So that's the staff, that's.
Right, and so staff, the promoters and owners and operators of each one of those events request closure. Staff bundles up, organizes the whole list, sends a notice to all of the property owners, business owners, and residents that are directly affected by these street closures, requesting comments or concerns about these. They're given 10 days to respond. That was done on November 6th. Actually, they were given until the 20th of November to respond to this. Staff has not heard anything until tonight from any merchants, any property owners, or any residents.
Okay, thanks. So, questions for Sean?
Yeah. Sean, on this list, any new ones added? Any that from last year were deleted that did not come back up at all? Just
so these are routine in nature. Some of the names change on these things, and as an example, the one that I think is in question. So there is a car show that takes place in May. It took place in April for many years. It moved to May, I think it was last year, I think. Could have been the year before last. And another car show is requesting, or another group is requesting to have a car show during April.
And so that is a new one that we didn't see last year on this list.
It's a new group. Yeah, okay. There was a car show during that time period, but it is a new group.
Okay, so the old one is no longer doing it, no longer on this list of sponsors that are doing it. The list.
So sorry, this is complicated. I'm trying to. So, Boot managed a car show in April for many years. Boot partnered with another organization who eventually moved that to May.
Yeah.
And now another organization has filled the April spot, and both of those car shows are now on the calendar.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
And last year we had both as well.
No, we did not.
Okay, so this is the first year where we will have both.
Correct.
The April and the May
that
car
is correct.
shows.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then the Veterans Memorial District, I guess they have not put any on here, but they have had closures, correct? And they're using the process, I'm assuming.
Yes, they are.
That we have
yes.
In place. And so they have not opted to come through this process where it becomes yearly?
So,
I ask every year because I know that they do.
So they do have a list of requests that they have made also. They have a slightly different process to approve those. These are in the PBIA, and then the Veterans Memorial District is right outside of that. But we do have a request for about, I think it's 5 events throughout the entire year. And they're very routine in nature too. The Veterans Day, I can't remember the other ones. There's a handful of them though.
Well, I appreciate us working very well with them and with their events. And I think sometimes we don't understand the PBIA, outside of PBIA, and the restrictions and why we're doing this versus them not being here. So thank you for that. Sure. Okay.
Other questions for staff? All right, thank you. I'll open the public portion, and Cora, invite your comments on this item.
The Business Organization of Old Town has a meeting once a month, and we discuss different things that's going on in Old Town and come up with new ideas of things that we want to do. Sean normally comes to that meeting. He did come to the meeting a couple months ago and said that there was a new car show that wanted to come into Old Town. It was going to be on a Saturday in April. So we've talked about it at every meeting since then, and different merchants have came into my store, came into Heather at the office, and their objection is not to having the car show. We're very happy to have the car show in Old Town. It's, we're love to share our streets and our town and show it off. But it's a Saturday in April, and the reason we moved our show out of April was because April is so busy. And right now, if we allow if another event comes in on a Saturday, that's 3 Saturdays out of 4. So our regular customers, do not have a chance, because when they close the streets down, a lot of our regular customers do not even come to town because it's just too much of a hassle. And so our suggestion was to move that car show from Saturday to Sunday, and then we're happy with it if they do it on a Sunday and not a Saturday.
Okay, thank you. And have you had a conversation with the car show organizers?
No, we have not. They have not contacted us. I think they have talked to Anthony, who is our promoter for our car show in May, and I don't know if he brought that up. Anthony, did you bring that up with him? To move from Saturday to Sunday? Okay, so we don't have communication. So no, they have not come to us directly at all.
Okay, thanks.
Question, Cora. Were you given notice with regards to the time frame to respond, and you and the boot members, to that November 20th date?
Yeah, I'm sure we have, but I don't know that the members knew that they could not come to us, that they had to go to Sean, or were supposed to go to Sean, because they talk about it at the meeting, they make a decision, we vote, and so my understanding of it was that we would come here tonight and just, have it pulled and then talk about it.
And Sean, the notice goes to all of the boot members. So in other words, those who would have been to the meeting complaining would have known about the process as well? I'm assuming they would have gotten some notice?
Yes, there's 210 addresses in that Old Town core, and every single one of them receives one of these letters that you have a copy of in your package.
And just to get a sense of the scale, is it a large group of your members, Cora, that are objecting to the closures? Is it just several?
It's on Pulaski, and we're going from 5th, or probably 6th, all the way down to 3rd. And I don't know how many merchants are in there, but I would imagine it's at least 90% of the ones that are open on Saturday do not want another closure on Saturday.
Okay. Thank you, Cora.
Thank you. We might be back to you, but thank you for now. Anyone else wishing to comment on this item? So I would invite the folks from the, car show in, that we're talking about here. I've lost my page already. Hot Rods, what's it called? Hot Rods Fresno.
My name is Patrick Evans, member of Hot Rods Fresno. Clarify just one point, Anthony, with Anthony. The president is not here tonight. He has COVID, and he would speak to the issue of not taking phone calls. The phone calls that were initially taken turned into a diatribe, basically the same thing. We don't want you to do this. There's enough shows already. So Bill, president, again, unfortunately not here. He just got tired of talking about it. So no, he didn't take any additional phone calls. We've been doing the Tower Car Show for 24 years. We're not a large car show. We do benefits, Marjorie Mason for years. I think over the years we've raised over $100,000 for Marjorie Mason centers. Many people live here in Clovis. They love this area. Unfortunately, it's more difficult to work in the Tower District anymore. Circumstances are difficult down there and getting more difficult every year. People, well, I don't need to go into details about people being reluctant to go to Tower District, and it's unfortunate. We're sad about that. But we love Clovis. We felt very welcomed by Clovis. We find that when in the Tower District, for example, we support bricks and mortar, but we do not cater to the trucks coming in for the reason that we support bricks and mortar, and the merchants there, it is their largest single event of the year for them. And so we're very sensitive to the merchants and wanting to be good guests for that. And again, we're not a large car show. We try to be pretty selective in who we invite. And again, very respectful of the time. We set up starting at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we try to have everything wrapped up and out of there by early afternoon. So whatever we could do to be good guests supporting the bricks and mortar community, we would certainly entertain that. But we would love to continue to build on the momentum that we sense has been building for years in Fresno, in Clovis, Freudian slip there. We just know that each successful event, having been around us for a few years, builds to more successful events. So eliminating events that are well spread out doesn't seem to be intuitive in terms of continuing to build people coming to quality events. And certainly the one that Anthony does is a quality event. We're not disputing that fact at all. And we think that the two coming together and the time gap in between would be very supportive of the Clovis business community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Pat. And a Sunday event you're not interested in a Sunday event? Moving it to Sunday?
Without filling out the Spirit card, I'm a pastor, so if we could stay away from Sunday, I'd like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Anyone else wishing to comment on this item?
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and people of the public. My name is Cody Clem. I live at 3336 Monte Rosa here in Clovis. I've been a resident for 8 years now. City of Clovis is awesome. I'm from a small town myself in Porterville, and so coming to another small town with all the amenities that we have is great. Something that Clovis and Porterville shares is the love of downtown businesses and events downtown. And having done events in Porterville with the fire department there, I can say having similar events so close together is not something that builds on previous events. The Tower Show in Tower in Fresno was and continues to be a great show. Because of problems that they've had there, that show is starting to take a decline. Anthony and Hot Rod Coalition has made the Clovis show into something great. People are coming from San Francisco, San Jose, all over the state, coming down for that show. And I just want to see it continue on that growth. We actually moved the date because of the Hot Rod Fresno show in Tower. It used to be on a Sunday here in Clovis. We moved it to a whole nother month so we could put it on a Saturday to try to get away from having back-to-back shows, one in Fresno on Saturday and then the Clovis show on Sunday. So that's a little background on why we're in May and then why we even separated from those dates, is so we could work together. Back October 25th, started email threads between us, Boot, Hot Rods of Fresno, and Mr. Miller. None of those emails were ever returned by anyone from the Hot Rods of Fresno group. So there has been multiple attempts trying to get them to comment and work together, and that just doesn't seem to have happened so far. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Anyone else?
Let me just make one more comment, that we are happy to have the Tower Show come to Clovis, but the merchants just does not feel that it benefits their store to close it down to regular customers on another Saturday. But we're happy to have them and would enjoy it. And all the merchants and the patrons would enjoy it. They love coming to town, to Old Town streets.
For any reason.
But the Saturday just is not a good one for us.
In April, particularly. We hear you. Yeah. All right. Close the public portion, I guess, at this point. Did you want to make a comment?
I do. I have had conversations with downtown merchants who've expressed some frustration about a plethora of Saturday events that shut down Pulaski because their customers sometimes don't want to show up because there's no place to park. I'm looking at, well, the calendar for April, Big Hat Days, Saturday, Sunday. This event on April 13th on a Saturday, followed by the next week, 2 weeks later, for rodeo on a Saturday, which shuts down everything. And I'm looking at this event would close down Pulaski from 3rd to 8th, parking lot number 1, Woodworth to Clovis. It seems like a pretty expansive. Would all of those areas be utilized for this event?
The streets most likely are. Sometimes if it's a little bit smaller, they will scale it back, but we have to request the whole thing. So there's a good chance the parking lot number 1 will not be used. That's the one behind Bobby Salazar's. Actually, into the public parking is probably not going to be used, but we have to request them, and then we could let them go when it gets a little bit closer.
Okay, so if we were to not permit them to use the parking lot between Pulaski and Clovis Avenue behind Bobby Salazar's, that would alleviate some of the issue for the downtown merchants, I'm assuming, for parking?
I would assume so too.
And I think maybe we need to take an opportunity to have the conversation about Sunday with all the parties, just so you have the conversation. I have talked to merchants who have been very frustrated about events that just kind of happen on the fly and take up parking spaces for them. And some of these merchants are, they're not quite hand to mouth, but they're not burning down the world either. So I think I would be comfortable with tabling this portion, this specific one, until a better plan is come up with. Have the conversation about Sunday, have a conversation about mitigating the downtown parking so that if, you know, if we close down Pulaski because that's the best way to do it, which quite frankly, if I was having a car show, that's where I'd want it. But having available parking for the merchants so that they don't take a hit. So that's gonna be that's kind of my motion. I don't know if anybody else is or.
Sean, last year, did we have 2 car shows? April and May? No. Yes.
I think there was only one car show in Old Town throughout the entire year. There wasn't even the Park in the Parks or anything like that, as far as I know.
Year before, I thought Paul Hinkle always did his show, and then he kind of was the one that was on the short end of the calendaring.
Right.
And we told him, hey, this new one is coming. Why don't you just do yours or just do it on a Sunday, which he stopped doing his, I'm assuming. Correct. On that same time. So in other words, you know, it's happening. It went through the process. Paul was on the short end last time, but because it was on the calendar, we kind of said, sorry, Paul, okay? We're going through the process again, and now it's another group, or now it's a group in which Boot is not as close to, I don't know, and so now we're coming in and saying, hey, why? Yet we've gone through the whole process again. And so because of that, I'm leaning towards, we've done it, April has 3, May has 3, but there's no complaints from the merchants for the 3 Saturdays in May, but yet April, this seems to be an issue. So I look at it that way. I also say that I think if we can get something, you know, that draws, and I don't know car shows too much, but if it draws a different crowd, different group, and showcases Old Town to a whole different demographic, I'm all for it. And so I know that we've also heard you're willing potentially to move it to a Sunday, and possibly, but I am in favor of what is recommended already, because the time to work it out, whether with staff, to allow staff to work out with the parties, have come and gone, and so I just wanted to put that up.
Any other comments?
Can I explain a little bit of that?
I closed the public portion already.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Thank you. Otherwise, we'd hold on. Let's see if we get confused, we'll call you back. How about that? We might be confused. But hold on just 1 second. Sorry. Hold on 1 second.
Cora, or Sean, you can explain, are the closures that we see here in May not closures then? Because it has a May 4th, right, May 18th, and then it also has a May 25th.
The May 25th is a pretty small event, and that's for early morning 5K that just kind of runs through Old Town very quickly. So it doesn't really affect. It's before any of the merchants or restaurants or anyone is open. It's very early in the morning. But you absolutely, it's correct. There, May 4th is a Saturday for the Old Town Wine Walk, which does close down Pulaski. May 18th for the car show, the other car show, and May 26th, which is a Sunday for Glorious Junk Days, which completely closed down Old Town.
Does that answer your question, Diane? That help us? Are we good? I think we're okay. All right. Any other comments from council? So I think we're looking for some direction. I think I am inclined. It always makes me feel bad when you didn't call me back, we don't talk. That never is super constructive. So I'm a little bit, I think with Drew, if we could approve the calendar with the exception of this and just get a quick conversation with you all, and facilitated by Sean, and see if we can kind of because you said you didn't really want on a Saturday or a Sunday, so I'm not sure there is exactly maybe the rest of you do. But I mean, we do want you in Clovis. We want to make it work. We want to find a solution. This is not the venue to do that. We're not very good problem solvers in a public setting like this because you want to talk and, you know, we run out of time. So I think I'd be inclined to go along with Drew and say, let's approve the calendar as it is if that's the desire. And then if you two groups, you all, facilitated by Sean, put something together quickly, because I know you need to move on and promote and all of that, so we don't have infinite amounts of time. I understand that, but it is almost Christmas, so maybe there's not a lot of promotion going on the next couple of weeks. If you could do it by early January, we could come back and resolve this particular issue. That's what I think makes sense. So that's me.
One more final question. Sean, if they don't, within 60 days, they can still do it the normal process and ask for a closure, correct?
Yeah, the heavy lifting has been done. Of course, we have to re-notify everyone, you know, when, if the day or the boundaries change, we have to, so that's the thing that takes the longest. But no, we don't, it doesn't take the 90 days. We could probably do it in about 30 to 45 days.
Okay. So all I'm saying is, if they're not on this calendar, there's still a normal process by which they can do it. It doesn't come to council. It is a staff level.
Yeah.
They can still have a street closure in an event, so there's still a backup in case it comes back where somehow we decide to take it off.
We will still, if the date changes, we will still need to receive permission from council, approval from council, to close the streets on that date.
So just to clarify, council, if not approved tonight, it will need to come back for council approval in the future.
Well, I don't think they have 45 days after that happens, because then it'll be March, and then that's too late for an April event. So I think we'd have to figure out some expedited way. If the direction is, hold on, let's start to resolve all the they don't call me back stuff, let's figure that out. But we'd have to commit to some expedited process, because otherwise it won't work. And then it's might as well just deny it and move on, because that would not work. So we'd have to be able to expedite the process in early January, so they'd know by the middle of the month if it's a go or not, I think.
Is January 8th our next meeting?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's continue it to January 8th, the date certain.
And then we'll make sure you have an answer so you can either move forward or not, or stay in the tower, or, I don't know. But we don't want you to do that. We welcome this in Clovis, and I think Cora was very clear about that. We just got to resolve this conflict on the merchant question. So does that seem reasonable to the parties? Yes? Yes? You all okay with that? I know you'd rather have an answer, but if the answer is no, can you hold on just a few weeks? Okay. I understand. Understand. Yep. Okay, appreciate that. All right, so I think,
I'm ready with a motion.
all right.
Okay, my motion is to approve the calendar for the closures with the exception of the April 13th, 2024 Water Tower Car Show, where we ask that the parties meet with staff and find out if there's some area where we can either mitigate the issues with parking downtown for Saturday or move the event to a Sunday, and have that item back before us January 8th so that all parties can move forward right then.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, there's a motion and a second. So all those in favor of Drew's motion to proceed with the calendar, approve all except that item and bring that back on January 8th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Did you say aye?
Yes, I said aye.
Okay.
I just have one.
Hold on, the motion carries 4 in favor with 1 absent.
Can we begin the backup process at the same time, so that way in case it's a denial, they are not delayed? So that way they still get that application going, because, we're delaying it about a month. So that puts them back a month. and they're, you know, we're not gonna know, but I want them to be able to succeed. So in other words, if they don't get on this calendar, that's not a no that you can't do it. There's still a process, and let's guide them through that process, so that way, if it comes back with a recommendation no, they can still proceed with the regular street closure process.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, so go forth and talk. And we know there's a solution out there. Good? Good? Yeah? Okay. Now that I'll just take a brief point of privilege here. Yes. You have to come back up here now. And then, Corey, you can come back. Let's all just talk again. So much for not having public comment. We're done here, so it's a new item. Go ahead, it's okay. We're done. We're done with the item.
Because we do make a major contribution. We do bring people that are great shoppers. Car people, wives are great antique shoppers. So if we're looking at Sunday, for example, how many businesses are open on Sunday that could take advantage of that? Because again, it's the biggest event in the tower as far as all shopping, not just restaurants, but all shopping. So if we're looking at Sunday, we just need to know how many of those shops are going to be open, appealing to the shoppers.
All right, they will be prepared to tell you that. All right, we're going to move on to the next item, but Cora, I do have a point of privilege. Did I read that Hearts Delight is going out of business after, like, what? 32 years. Could we just talk briefly about that? Because we can, why not? Quickly tell us why. Or tell me how much time do I have to go shopping?
Yes, I started 32 years ago on 5th and Pulaski. So, it's just time.
It's just time. Well, you have served our community so well. So I saw that and I was like, wait, what? Yeah. Am I reading that correctly? When's the last day?
Sometime in January. I'm not sure when.
Oh, so I have plenty of Christmas shopping time to go.
Yes, you can come.
Okay, I'm not too worried then. Well, anyway,
we're full.
Thank you for all of your service to boot. I know you'll continue to serve.
Well, I'm not going anywhere.
No, I know, but
I'm the ice cream store lady. I'm there.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm
I
there.
can't buy a lot of gifts in the ice cream store, really. So I'll have to shop quickly. But anyway, thank you for your service to Old Time. You have been really.
Hey, it's been my pleasure.
Yeah, you have really kept that together in good times and bad. So I just wanted to take, since you were here, I'm like, I'm going to ask her. So all right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. All right. Let me see. We're still in the consent calendar. I really don't know. So we did the consent calendar. We did item 2. They're all going to talk. Got it. Under public hearings, there's a couple of items tonight. The first is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clovis amending sections 5.22-0.02 and 5.22.05, I said dot, of Chapter 5.22 of Title 5, of the Clovis Municipal Code pertaining to definitions and regulations for deliveries of medical marijuana within the city. And the staff presenter is Matthew Lear, our Deputy City Attorney. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. So SB 1186 got passed, and what this bill requires is that cities can no longer prohibit delivery of medicinal marijuana to medicinal marijuana patients. So any person who has, pursuant to the code, who has a need for medicinal marijuana, you cannot have a ordinance or regulation that prevents them from being able to be delivered medicinal marijuana from a licensed medicinal, specifically medicinal marijuana supplier. So what this ordinance amendment would do would be to amend the city's ordinance, which currently prohibits all deliveries within the city, to allow specifically for medicinal marijuana deliveries to medicinal marijuana patients, consistent with the statute.
How do I know?
Excuse me?
How will we know? Is there some proof of,
so the statute also allows for the city to still regulate a business and ask for a business license. I've included that within the amendment. But to answer your question, I think that what you're really asking is, it's already happening in the city of Clovis, I'm sure, deliveries. But I'm pretty sure you can go on Weed Maps right now and get whatever you want delivered, medicinal or otherwise, to anywhere within the city. But this way, at least we're complying with the state law to say that we're not prohibiting the delivery to specifically medicinal marijuana patients.
All right, does that conclude that's the entirety of the report? Not much else to say, huh?
There really isn't much else to say on this one. If you have any questions relating to it, I can answer those. But I mean, the long and short of it is to provide medicinal marijuana patients, so those patients that require that marijuana as part of a treatment, that they have the ability to receive it via delivery within the city, so within the jurisdiction.
I guess my comment was I mean, is there any verification process, or can anybody call and say, I'm a patient, I have a prescription for marijuana, and deliver it to my house? Is there any checking of a doctor's order, or no? Today you're saying that happens anyway, and no one's asking. So there's no verification that it's really medicinal marijuana, it's just marijuana.
There are certain licenses, so what I try to do is draft it to where it's like consistent with this section. So the sections from 1186 require that a medicinal marijuana supplier is someone with an M license, so specifically allowed to provide medicinal marijuana. A medicinal marijuana patient is someone who, I think they actually have a card that says that part of their treatment plan requires them to have this. So would the city be checking that? There's really, I mean, to be frank, there's really no way for the city to monitor a random car driving to anyone's house in particular to verify. If they needed to, they could. I mean, if there was a way to identify a vehicle and to identify a delivery service, they could. PD could potentially verify those things. They can verify that the delivery company has the requisite license, the M license from the state, and also that the person receiving the medicinal marijuana actually has a medicinal marijuana card.
Which you can buy online, I'm sure. Just saying. I'm just saying. I don't know that for sure, but I think that's possible. All right.
I have a comment.
I'm sure you do.
When this ballot initiative went before the citizens, it passed in California. It did not pass in Clovis. And part of the provisions of this ballot measure was that municipalities had the option of opting out of commercial cannabis, which is what we did. Since then, the Bureau of Cannabis Control has been trying to undermine that, and this is just the way of doing it. I can't foresee a situation where a police officer is going to have this conversation with someone about, who are you delivering it to? I can't tell you. I don't want to violate their HIPAA rights. This is just our friends in Sacramento making that happen by other means. I'll get off the soapbox.
Vaughn?
With regards to the M license, I mean, it states here, so if a business is delivering into our city, legally they must have a license by us, by the city, to deliver here.
Prior to delivery.
Prior to coming here.
Right.
Okay.
That would be the requirement. So as of January 1st is when the statute takes effect. So as of January 1st, if there is a medicinal marijuana delivery company and they want to operate within the city of Clovis, they'd have to first procure a business license certificate from the city like any other business prior to operating.
Okay. And so starting January 1st, legally, if there are no registered delivery, no one should be getting anything in Clovis, technically.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
The issue is how do you monitor that? Mm-hmm. It's like monitoring Uber or Lyft. It's the same kind of thing, because that's what is operating, I'm sure, right now. It's like an Uber or Lyft service for marijuana, which is medicinal or otherwise.
And does it speak to the penalty? Should someone be doing that without a license? Does it talk about the penalties in here at all?
I haven't changed anything relating to the current violations of the city's ordinance. The city's ordinance, any delivery within the city would be a violation. And generally speaking, the city's municipal code provides that any violation of the municipal code would be a misdemeanor violation with a fine of upwards of up to $1,000. So that could be through administrative citation or through a criminal action. but I haven't changed any provisions relating to that. There is still, I'd have to double check on it, but there is still a, enforcement provision or like a violation provision within the city's, cannabis ordinance.
And this is on a side note for, how do we come back to looking at our position with regards to medical marijuana? I know it was based on election results way back when and how our city voted, you know, with the 130,000 people now. I would like to know, you know, how many calls are for that? Has it caused more headaches because we are one that is restricting it, or do we go the other route, you know, potentially depending on what our residents think, and actually legalize it and then go, okay, this is, somehow, is there a way for us to look at that, John, and get PD's feedback, or, you know, do we maintain the course?
And you're thinking about the allowance of a dispensary?
Yeah.
I can work with the police department, but I can't imagine, my police department supporting a dispensary in the city of Clovis. And I can work with them on to get some data, but it's the reality is...
But if we get something that supports our current position, that is even something that I think helps us as well. And so it goes, no, the city is still very firmly where we are, and, you know, we continue to support that. And our residents still, I don't know if we can gauge it somehow, going, you know, our residents still want us to stay firmly in this lane. So.
Yeah, we'll take a look. I'm just not sure. Survey Monkey, you know.
There's basically two issues. One is the medicinal marijuana, which has been legal for probably almost 20 years, I think, and the commercial cannabis. I was going to reach out, and I forgot to do it, to PD to find out if we already have people selling commercial cannabis, because if you go by several smoke shops, it says CBD, which would be illegal. And I think we already have it. We just haven't stuck our nose into it, but that might be something PD might want to look at.
I have one question. If this amendment doesn't pass tonight, what happens on January 1st?
This is just a cleanup of our code.
Right.
You know, it's a cleanup of our code to comply with state law. Really, nothing's going to change.
But if we don't pass this amendment and we're not compliant with that particular state law, what happens?
I'll defer to Matt or Scott, but we don't have the luxury of having our municipal code not comply with state law.
So is this just an exercise of futility right now? Like, it doesn't matter if we pass it or not, our municipal code has to comply, so...
State law.
Yep. So in the event that the city does not pass this, and so that would mean that the city's current municipal code, come January 1st, would say that all deliveries within the city are prohibited. I think the Attorney General, basically any interested person, a person who is a medicinal marijuana patient at business, a medicinal marijuana business, can file a writ of mandate against the city, requiring the city to comply with the statute and not have prohibitions against delivery of medicinal marijuana within the city. So that's the potential risk from not passing this, and it includes attorney's fees provision. So you'd face being forced to comply plus whatever it costs for them to get the compliance. Yeah, that's the potential risk come January 1st. If someone wanted to, they could do that.
Okay, thank you for that uplifting staff report. Any other questions for Matt? Anyone in the audience wishing to comment on this item? Please. Jenny, and then...
So I'm Jenny Cran. I'm a resident of Clovis, have been for about 25 years. I just, this is a cleanup thing for the city to be complying with state law, and I just can't understand why a consideration would be made to be in violation of state law, because, of course, you could be sued, and there may be some attorneys that, would be interested in, and we have better uses of our funds than being vulnerable for lawsuits. So anyway, they had those attorneys that used to go around on the ADA compliance kind of thing, and so Clovis might be seen as a good target for those things.
There's no doubt about that. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thanks. Please. Can you turn the mic on so the little red light comes on? Good job. Thanks.
Okay. Would it be easier to just make it more difficult for the delivery drivers? Meaning, I work in the liquor industry, so they have all sorts of rules for us. We can't do anything that's greater value than $1. We can't, there's a lot of ABC rules that we have to follow. Can you make it just incredibly difficult for the drivers, to do their job, being that they have to file paperwork every single day to send it to the attorney and say, hey, this is where we're delivering it to, this is when we're delivering it to, and just make it a little bit more difficult for them instead of, like you said, delivering it to anybody. I mean, the rule says that you have to allow it to happen. It doesn't say you have to make it so easy that they can just do it every single day to anybody they want. When you get a keg of beer, they have to fill out a form that says who's getting the keg of beer, where it's going, what's the address, when the time is, everything on it. It's got to be slapped on the side of the keg of the beer, and then you have to bring that beer back. Why is it so simple then to be able to grab a bag of weed and just basically say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go over here to Bob's house and deliver it. If I get pulled over, hey, you're a medical marijuana dispensary thing. Make it difficult for them. I mean, the way you've got that written right there, it's, hey, you know what, whatever you want, we'll just deliver it. So, I mean, I like my neighborhood. I like the fact that I live in Clovis and not Fresno. There's a reason I live in Clovis and not Fresno. It's because I like Clovis. If I want to live in Fresno, I move across, and I can go there. Their laws are much simpler in the sense that they sit there and say, you know what, we'll wave the white flag, we'll let whatever happen, happen. I'd rather have it so when a police officer pulls somebody over and they've got 4 pounds of weed in the back of their car and they're saying, hey, I've got 31 deliveries today, they better have a piece of paper that says, hey, these are the places I'm going, this is the place I turned in. You have to contact the city of Clovis 24 hours ahead of time and sit there and make them pay for it. Make the guy who's buying the weed pay for all the paperwork. You know what? You want to deliver in Clovis? Fine. It'll cost you an extra $25, $30. Sorry, but that's just our rules. There's no reason that we should have to pay for it. Let them pay for it. All right?
I think I was trying to sort out, so I appreciate that word, medicinal marijuana use. I think it has a role in healthcare and all of that. So I think that's fine. But are there delivery requirements, or if you have a dispensary in the city of Fresno, do you have certain things you have to meet to have a delivery service, or is it sort of an Uber, Lyft, free-for-all, and anybody who wants to drive it around? So I think your point, what was your first name? Matt? Matt, I think your comment was interesting. I mean, if somebody gets pulled over with a whole bunch of marijuana in their car and they just say, oh, I'm going to drop it off at XYZ houses, how does that legitimately work? And to your point, it's happening every day. But I think doesn't mean we have to go, okay, keep doing it. So how does that work? What authorizes you to be a deliverer of marijuana?
So I'd have to go in and really review what Fresno's got going on in regards to deliveries. The statute allows for the city to pass a lot of different regulations regarding delivery service, and we can definitely do that if that's something you'd like our office to further explore and further regulate. Do you have to have a sign on your car that says I'm an Uber driver, I'm a Lyft driver, I'm a marijuana deliverer? I mean, all of that seems risky. I get crime, I get all that, but it doesn't seem very well thought out that anybody,
the way I read this is anybody could deliver marijuana to anyone's house and say it's medicinal and call it good. I'm not trying to be obstinate or obstructive to state law, because that's fine, we'll align, but I do think it just seems a little bit squishy. Like, I don't know, is there any way to manage that? How would our PD know if you pulled somebody over that they were really doing that? I don't understand that.
And that would be, I mean, at least with the example would be checking their license, checking if they have a business license within the city to operate, and making sure, I mean, these are all further regulations that we can incorporate. It's just how easy that would be to actually enforce, or it's kind of why I kind of made it bare bones, but we could definitely increase it. So the statute allows for different security and public health concerns of the city, that if the city can regulate it pretty much how it wants to a point of not prohibiting it. So it can't, whatever the city's doing can't be prohibitory, but if you wanted to make it to where, like Mr. Stark had suggested, where it's, you know, deliveries, and you have to have a log, or maybe the city has to check that log or something. I just, off the cuff, I think there are certain provisions that say for deliveries, they don't want them to have anything labeled on their car. That might be a state law provision that I'd have to double check on, but I feel like I've ran into that with other jurisdictions, that they don't want that because it puts a target on their back.
No, I mean, that all makes sense. I feel like there needs to be a little more to this, just so that, I think about our PD, if you pulled over a car that had 10 unmarked bags of marijuana in the back, you would be a little suspicious. And if someone said to you, I'm just going to deliver it to these patients, okay. And again, I don't want to overthink this, because it is happening every day, 100 times a day. So it does feel like I want people to get it if they need it for their health. I'm not suggesting that it doesn't have health care implications, but I just can't quite get my mind around anybody can deliver it. I'm not seeing anything here about anybody can deliver it anytime, anywhere, to anybody who thinks they have a card. That just seems odd to me, but that might be.
Yeah, and I would have to go further into all the medicinal marijuana related statutes in regards to delivery in particular, because this just creates a prohibition against a prohibition against delivery. Unfortunately, that's how it's worded.
Too many prohibitions in one sentence. I don't want to go against state law. I mean, for me, I don't want to prohibit it, because it's all good. But I can't get it if I live in a nursing home. I can't get it if I'm in a hospital. I can't give it if I'm in a congregate living situation. There's a whole bunch of places where people could, I don't know. I just, in my mind, I think it needs a little more work to, like, what's legitimate, to do the best we can to keep our PD safe, to keep the driver safe, to keep the users safe. And maybe this is much ado about nothing, but I can't quite believe that it's just a go ahead and deliver it and hope it works out for everybody. That just seems incredibly odd. And I'd love to hear the PD's view on it. I mean, I'm sure you've worked with our PD. What did they say?
I didn't receive any negative comments back on it. I sent it to PD, and they didn't have any further comments. I think it's kind of like the Uber issue. I mean, or even, you know, Airbnbs or something.
Or food
like all
trucks.
these
I mean,
things,
there's a lot of things like that, yeah.
all these things kind of operating under the radar. I mean, at least with a food truck, you can go up and you can physically see what they're operating, what they're doing, versus this, in this case, you really wouldn't know until PD happened upon them, and you're like, oh, what's all this? Why does it smell like that in your car? You know, why is it so strong? You know, but if that's something the council's interested in, we definitely could create further regulations in regards to what the comments have been so far. Because like I said, under the statute, you can provide zoning requirements. Zoning requirements would play more towards, you know, a physical, like a non-storefront. It's a non-storefront retail establishment where they could operate out of, the delivery business could operate out of in the jurisdiction. Also, security, public health requirements, licensing requirements, and imposition, collection, or remittance of any applicable state or local tax. So the other part of it would be getting these delivery companies to even apply for business license or anything in the first place. That would be something I have to look further into.
Well, I mean, we have food trucks that don't have business licenses in the city of Clovis. I'm confident. So, I mean, it's a thing. It's not unique to this delivery mechanism.
So I was just going to say, it's staff's recommendation this evening to approve it as presented, with possible additional direction for us to look at additional regulations and the ability to enforce those regulations.
I mean,
Mayor, if I-
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the frustration with me with regards to every time state stuff comes down and then we are compliant, but especially with this issue is what we are presented does not support the policy position of the council, in that we could have brought something much harsher, much stronger. In other words, we need to come out with, we're compliant, but if they do it, there's the big slap on the hand, you know, kind of what the mayor's saying. And I think I think every time, I'm going to say, Scott, to our attorney's office with code stuff, get it to the line so that way people read it and go, they're not for this. Instead of, oh, they're compliant. See, that shows the position of the council. That's why I asked earlier. It seems like we're moving to, we should just legalize it. At least we'll get some money from it to be able to pay a PD, and we can regulate it much better. But if our position is no, give us a policy, give us ordinances that when someone reads it and they go, I ain't delivering there. They're serious about this. Or if I'm delivering there, I'm going to be compliant. I'm going to do it by the book. And so that's my frustration. I hear the mayor's frustration. I want to support her with regards to that. How do we make it so that way it's very clear what the city policy is regarding this, and yet we're still compliant? So kind of, John, if you can get us more teeth into that coming back, that would be very helpful.
All right, I've lost my way. We open the public comment, we close the public comment.
I have a motion.
Okay, good.
We need to be compliant with state law. My motion is to approve the ordinance and give direction to staff to report back to us at a time in the future about best practices dealing with commercial deliveries and medical deliveries in the city and what our options are to enforce in the future.
I'll second that motion.
Is there further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying, did you have a comment?
I was just going to reference Ms. Kren's comment as far as like what would be the point of not being compliant. And it's simply, Councilmember Bessinger kind of alluded to it, it's this idea that when Sacramento put something out there and it was a proposition on the ballot and it says municipalities will have local control over these things. And then here we are years later where Sacramento is doing something to restrict and remove that local control. It's incredibly aggravating to those of us who want to serve the citizens of Clovis, the people who expressed on that ballot initiative that they weren't supportive of this. And it's our job to be reflective of that here at the local level. And so how can we do that if all we ever do is come into compliance and pass unanimously ordinance amendments that bring us into compliance with something we shouldn't have to be compliant with? So that's my comment, and that will be the reason for my no vote.
Okay, so there's a motion and there's a second on this to prove it tonight, to align with state law and to bring back, let's say in 90 days, ways we can at least begin to control or regulate or manage. I'd love to hear from the PD what they think about what is it like in the field if you stop a car with this, how do you know? I mean, just, I think legitimate things to keep everybody safe, the driver, the recipient, not me, but the recipient and the PD, I think would be the right thing to do. I think that's right. So there's a motion and a second to do just that. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 no, and 1 absent. We'll see you in 90 days. Thank you. Oh, wait, you're not going anywhere, are you? Aren't you the next item too? Sorry, sit back down. You thought you were going home, just kidding. It's a joke. Item number 8 is considering the introduction of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clovis amending sections 5.29.102, 5.29203, and 5.29301 of Chapter 5.29 of Title 5 of the Clovis Municipal Code pertaining to definitions and regulations relating to multiple responses to nuisance violations. And this item is being requested to be continued to a date uncertain.
Correct. It's, we're recommending, some questions came up late that we're unable to answer, so at this point, it was publicly noticed, so it's on the agenda, and we're, recommending it be continued to a date uncertain.
Did anybody come to speak to this item in particular? All right. Any comments online? Carrie, am I missing anybody over there? All right. Bring it back to the council.
I'll make a motion to, continue ordinance of the city council to a date uncertain.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you. Now you can go home. Item number 9 is, there's a lot of items, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm not going to read I'm going to read A through I into the agenda.
Madam Mayor, you don't need to read each of the items if you want to just
I'll read the first,
main,
but not
yeah,
the, all right.
yeah,
So
with the recommendation of continuing.
Yeah. Item number 9 has a number of items that are listed on the agenda. The item is to consider items associated with approximately 155 acres of land located on the north side of Shepherd Avenue between North Sunnyside and North Fowler Avenues. Great Big Land LP owner applicant, Harbor and Associates representative, and the recommendation is that this be continued to Tuesday, January 16th. So I don't know, John, if you want to comment on that, or George, or...
George has a short presentation.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Good evening. Back on November 16th of last month, the Planning Commission considered this item, and we received late comments right before the Planning Commission hearing, which we notified the commission and also to the folks present that evening that the city will formally respond in writing to those late comments and will be presented to the council next month. So therefore, due to that time that we need to prepare proper responses, we're requesting a continuance to January 16th.
Okay. Any questions for staff? And I appreciate that you noticed the neighbors. I think that this item would be continued tonight, so I think that's wonderful. So, Scott, did I hear you say earlier that you don't want to open the public comment period?
Well, I don't want to open the public hearing, so if there's anyone that is here to speak to the continuance, the proposed continuance of the item, I guess we could open it up to public comment on that, but I wouldn't want any substantive comments. We're not going to open my suggestion is not to open the public hearing until January 16th. So if there's someone here that absolutely wishes to speak on it and is unavailable, I mean, maybe we perhaps provide them with another opportunity to submit a written comment. I mean, there's still over a month before the suggested continued item, but.
All right. Is there anybody here who came to comment on this item? So what I would ask is that, are your comments about continuing it, or are your comments about the substance of the map or the request?
No, partially both. So my name is Josh Lane, and I just want to make sure I state that I was speaking with Hector from Fresno, and they are doing a speed test specifically on this Sunnyside Street. Some of the variances within the report we have that was produced and I got from Sean have some discrepancies. Okay. So at this point in time, part of it is what is Fresno County going to do? And again, part of the meeting we just had with the builder was, great, we have Clovis wanting to build, builder wanting to build, but Sunnyside's county. And it's always kind of passed the buck. I've taken it upon myself to try to get involved. Now I've got county involved with me talking about it. We're getting what the options are. And so I just wanted to inform you that they're working on it. Within the next week or so, they're going to start an actual survey for speed and for a number of cars. Why that's important is because frontage-wise, eventually, and don't hold me to this, it sounds like the county's potentially going to be giving you guys Sunnyside. So I don't know how or when that's going to take place, but that is something that will come into your guys' situation when it either is a problem already, because it wasn't fixed originally, and or was it fixed enough to be able to be workable. Does that make sense? So I'm just stating that so we know when we go into the next round of stuff, hopefully we have a better understanding from Hector and what they've come up for decisions that will help us make decisions going forward. Now, again, this is all just in discussion, not that I have anything in writing. but everything's in the process right now. So hopefully, as I get the information, Sean in your office will get it, and we'll be able to share it with you guys.
Okay, thanks. Well, and I think that the continuance will give us more time to gather that and bring that into the conversation, because I'm sure that issue would be important to the neighbors on Sunnyside Avenue. So on January 16th, hopefully we'll know more from the county as well.
Correct, and I think just so you understand, the only item that is being discussed right now from the county potentially is a bump out similar to the one they have on Ashland and Van Ness. So, don't know exactly how they're planning on putting something like that in, but that is what is being proposed. Because of the flow of cars, they're stipulating that a stop sign would not work. Again, nothing concrete, but this is what's being discussed, just so you are aware of what's being discussed.
Okay, thank you, Josh, I appreciate it, thank you. Hello.
Hi, my name is Michelle Lang. I live in that strip right there. And my immediate concerns are the huge traffic volume increases. So that's why I'm paying a lot of attention to all of that. I recently spoke with the county this last week, and they have just assigned a gentleman. They told me that they are doing a traffic count and that they would be dealing with this with the county in February. So that's what they told me, because they don't have all the information they need. They were looking at doing, a narrowing in there, but they don't have any traffic numbers. So my suggestion would be to postpone that even further until they actually have some real numbers to work with. And my conversation indicated they would be doing that, bringing that to the county, their research and everything in February.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Hector Luna with Fresno County. So just to reiterate what some of the audience was saying is that we're at the beginning of getting information and data for Sunnyside Avenue, and we're going to come up with proposals to alleviate the speed complaints that the residents along Sunnyside have been telling us. So we're at the very beginning stage. We're going to come up with some propositions. The county will propose those to the neighborhood and to the city for further discussions. But I just want to reiterate that we're just starting all this, and we're going to get more information. We did start traffic counts from what I was informed beginning today. So it's going to be a 7-day count for the number of cars and the speed, from what I understand. So once we get all that information in, we're going to take it all in, analyze it, and then present it to everyone.
Okay, and I'm sure you're working with our staff and probably the applicants, so thank you for that clarification.
And management is working with City Council as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, no problem.
Anyone else? All right, so anyone online? All right, and we'll note that Mr. DeBudo was here earlier, and we'll definitely be back. So with that, I'd bring it back to council, and I would entertain a motion to continue this item at least at this point until January 16th. And Michelle, if it looks like we need more time, that'll continue to move if that's the direction. So is there such a motion?
Move to continue, item number 9 to January 16th.
All right. And there's a motion and a second to continue this item to January 16th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you for your comments, everybody, and we'll see you back here in January. Item number 10 is to consider approval of the Second Amendment to the City Manager Employment Agreement. Sean.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council members. Before you tonight is the Second Amendment to the City Manager Agreement for current City Manager John Holt. This Second Amendment will move Mr. Holt from Step 2 to Step 3 of the City Manager salary schedule, effective January 1st, 2024. Mr. Holt's new salary will be $22,843 per month and $274,116 annually. In addition, Mr. Holt receives the same benefits, sick leave, vacation, and as the other executive management team members. That concludes my report, and I'm open for questions.
Thanks, Shauna. Questions for staff? All right, seeing none. Public comment, public questions? Online questions? Close the public portion, bring back to the council.
Motion to approve. I'll second that.
There's a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, 1 absent. And just so no one worries that we're not speaking about this, we spoke about this at length when we did John's recent performance evaluation and came to this conclusion. So this just takes the action that we did a few weeks back. I forgot exactly when, but a few weeks ago. So we've had plenty of conversation about this. All right, thanks, John.
And if I may, Mayor, I do want to say publicly, we appreciate our city manager. This is a relationship that requires us to work closely with our city manager, John Holt, and unanimously, we believe he's been doing an excellent job with our staff and with a lot of the issues that we have been facing. And so thank you for your hard work, and we look forward to continuing to work with you as you reach step 5.
All right, city manager comments. How much you appreciate Shabazz.
Thank you. I just want to let you know how much, no comment, thank you.
No comments from you? No. Council comments. Diane.
I don't have anything to report from this past week, but I, of course, want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I know there's still a lot of exciting events and that going on, not just in Clovis, but all around, so I hope people take advantage of this beautiful season and really enjoy all that it has to offer in Clovis and surrounding areas.
Thank you. For Drew?
I have nothing to report out. I'd like to join Diane in wishing our population a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all those things that come with friends and family.
We're glad you're feeling better also. Yep. Vaughn.
Yes, I attended the retirement for Captain Tom Roberts. I think Mayor was there and also Councilmember Basco. So it seems like our police force is getting younger and younger with so many of our sort of long-term, they look so young still, but they're retiring.
They are young. They don't look young. They are young.
So, but it's also good to see good recruits. I think it's going to be a challenge for Chief to keep hiring and then having our other officers retire. I want to thank the staff for giving us just a tour of the entire area of our city and areas in which sometimes we forget our decisions and how they've been affected. Not only that, the challenges that, when you see it firsthand, I think it's helpful because I think we all are busy with our lives, but to take time away to hear the technicalities. So thank that, and I forgot the gentleman, the water, Nick, and then Andy and John for being our chauffeur. So I think, like you said, John, once a year, I think it'll be helpful, especially with sort of the challenges that are coming with our housing element and different issues that we will see in the city. That will be great. And I don't know, did the Hmong New Year send invitations to you guys?
Nope. Did you tell them not to invite us?
No, I told them to invite you because I want them to invite you, but it's on December 28th. It's a Thursday at 9 is the grand opening, and so I will push them to send you a formal invitation because I want them to invite you, not just.
I'm going to.
Yeah, so we'll go. Okay, so December 28th. And lastly, thank you for approving the Youth Commission. I think, like you said earlier, you were kind of saying, Mayor, I think we will look back, and tonight will be a night in which we'll go, hey, remember that day? And I think it'll be one of those days in which the youth of our city will actually really be a part of our future, and then it'll continue for future youth members to participate in. And thanks again, Chad and Carrie, for the hard work that you guys have put into it. And we look forward to the meetings that will come up this next couple months before the mayor's breakfast. So we look forward to that. Thank you.
I did everything he did, so I'm just going to say yes to all of those things. A shout out to Amy Hansen, her appointment to the State Transportation Task Force on Transit, which I think is so awesome, and I just think it speaks volumes for our city. So shout out to her and for having the initiative to apply. I think that's awesome. I think that's really all. So I have just a small Christmas present for you as a board member of the Old Town Museum. I would present you with a 2024 Clovis Historical Society calendar, all the way down to Carrie, and even the attorney. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice to attorneys. It seems like a good idea. And then down to the other end, and I also have one for every department head. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, happy every celebration that makes your family stay together. But the calendar is really a wonderful tribute to our community. So take a peek. And I could make a push that if you haven't joined the museum, you really ought to, because it costs $10. It'd be really great to have members from the city. But the museum is, does a really good job in trying to keep Clovis's story alive. So to staff and all of you, thank you. Holiday wishes, however you choose to celebrate it. And I guess we'll see you next year, as they say, or at the Hmong New Year, depending which comes first. Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much.